former Colombian President Ivan Duque was confronted on the streets of Washington, D.C. by a reporter. This is something you may want to see. Follow along.
Hey, watching man right now, you're watching DC Born Rob on YouTube.
Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is you're located. Thanks for watching. My name is DC Born Rob, also known as DC Rob. This is going to be a quick one from my end, but actually the video itself is about 10 minutes long, but it gives quite a bit of history. Again, Ivan Duque, the former president of Colombia up until last year. So this is recent. So just imagine if I'm going to think positively and say a few years from now that you see Biden walking on the streets of Medellin, just walking with his, with a beard. You almost didn't even recognize him. Well, the reporter did. And he remembered quite a bit about the president that I don't even know. And you probably didn't either. And I did not research. I don't get into the politics of Colombia. I don't get in the politics of Colombia. I just report the news. So I'm going to play this story using fair use. This came from Redacted. Great program, by the way. But check out this reporter as he confronts Duque. And I mean, he confronts him. It's pretty aggressive. Anyway, check this story out.
Señor presidente,
Sí.
un honor.
¿Cómo te va?
Muy bien.
¿Cómo te ha ido?
Muy bien, gracias, gracias. It's like, speak English, is that all right?
Yeah,
It's an honor to meet you.
The honor is mine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Can we take a selfie?
Sure, man.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Can we say, Ñeñe Hernandez?
No, Ñeñe Hernandez. He's a motherfucker, man.
Man, he paid for your campaign. What are you
didn't.
talking about?
He didn't.
How much cocaine paid for your campaign?
Nobody
How
paid
much
a single-
blood? How many people did
No
you have
blood,
ordered
man.
killed? What about what's his name? Alexis Lopez Tapia, the Nazi who you brought in to advise?
No, Alexis, you should be informed, man.
No, I am. I know
You're
all
not
about that
informed.
dirty shit you did.
No, you're not informed, and you should, man.
How much
You should-
cocaine paid for your presidency?
You should educate yourself.
How much cocaine?
What about the current campaign?
You should educate yourself, man.
The current campaign.
You should educate yourself.
He was president. You know,
man,
Ñeñe bought votes
You're
for him.
straight.
You know,
Get your facts straight.
You know about I know about Ñeñe Hernandez. I've
Man.
seen the pictures. I know. I listened to the
man.
recording. He partied with you
Man.
all night, man. He
No,
partied with you. You were drinking
no
with him in the
partying.
bar. It
You're
was a
not-
huge celebration. He was
You're-
at
you're
your
absolutely-
inauguration.
That means that the campaign.
You're absolutely misinformed.
We
and
know
you
it.
what? You
We
should
know it.
educate
What
yourself.
about what about all the photos of you with Ñeñe on Instagram? It's still there. It's still there.
What? Get informed, man. If you're going
Tell
to record
everyone.
me and
Yeah,
you're going to
pictures.
record me, get informed. And you know what? You should see what his mother has said, what his wife had said, what his brother has said.
About him funding your campaign.
About him not having any
about
relationship with me.
narcos funding your
Come on,
campaign.
man, you're absolutely.
Come on, man. How many?
Why
Why is there always more and more cocaine coming out of Colombia when you're the president?
That's not true, man.
Come on, that's absolutely true. We all know it's true.
Who extradited Otoniel? Which government has the highest record?
Yeah, I know you were a little
seizures?
puppet for the U.S.
Oh, man, you
come
know
on,
what?
man.
You know
we know
where you're from?
We know. I know. What cartel am I from?
What?
I'm from here, man. What are you talking about? Obviously, come on. I'm obviously from here.
So you're at fault for that too. You elect
That's my fault that this guy took your drugs for his money. Yeah, let's take a picture. Let's take a picture.
Look at
That
the
is
scene here.
Ivan
Look at
Duque,
the scene
the
here,
drug
man.
trafficker, man. This is
not a
crazy.
trafficker, man.
And he's a drug trafficker. This guy's a narco.
Fuck you, man.
Paraco. Eres paraco. Sabemos todo. Adiós, paraco.
Fuck you, man. Respect, man. Respect.
Paraco. Asesino. See you in jail.
Okay, that's amazing. And I can't believe he just continued to talk with you and kind of denying any involvement with Ñeñe Hernandez. Who is Hernandez in all of this? It seemed really relevant to this conversation. And for our audience that's not familiar with this, can you educate us?
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, the fact that he kept talking to me even after I said Ñeñe Hernandez, he's not used to having critical journalists come after him, or if a Colombian journalist did that, they'd be like tackled and maybe he'd send like a hit squad after them. Literally, so many journalists have been killed in Colombia, so it's a real privilege to be able to do that here in Washington, where nothing's going to happen to me. Ñeñe Hernandez, the name I said with the selfie, 1, 2, 3, Ñeñe Hernandez. This is his most infamous scandal. Ñeñe Hernandez was a guy who projected himself publicly as a rancher, an entrepreneur, but a Colombian police investigation into a 2011 murder that Hernandez ordered incidentally found that he was a frontman for a drug cartel known as Marquitos Figueroa, one of the most violent in Colombia. Now, this investigation found that Niña Hernandez was financing Duque's presidential campaign in 2017 and 2018 using stolen money. Then, Niña Hernandez was murdered in Brazil in very suspicious circumstances, but he left on his Instagram, which remains visible to the public to this day. He posted numerous photos of himself with Duque on the campaign trail, so showing Duque with a big drug trafficker, buddy, very close, arm in arm, very warm. We even see photos of vehicles that Hernandez had bought for Duque's campaign, so with Duque's face and name plastered all over these vehicles. So Duque, of course, denounced Hernandez when it became public, just like he tried to do it there in colorful language. But in addition to the photos of them together, there are recordings of Hernandez boasting about his personal friendship and influence with Duque and how they partied and got drunk until 3 in the morning, which is what I was referencing.
Tenemos amigos que me invitaron con Duque y me metí como hasta las 3 de la mañana estuve allá. ¿Quiero con Duque allá? Sí.
Hernandez's Instagram also shows photos of him with top army generals and police officials who were responsible for fighting drug cartels, but they were actually in bed with them, to the point that Hernandez actually felt comfortable enough to post pictures of them together. So that's basically the short version of what is known in Colombia as ñeñe política, like ñeñe politics. So that was the first thing I brought up. One of the other key things I brought up to him is a guy named Alexis Lopez Tapia. And remember Duque, when I brought that up, he says, no Alexis Tapia, okay? In 2021, Duque ordered a tax reform bill that just meant brutal austerity, crushing austerity measures for an already extremely poor population. That sparked a national strike and massive protest movement, which got some coverage in the mainstream. There's this huge uprising against Duque, but to try to break the strike, Duque's Ministry of Defense and Police brought in this guy, Alexis Lopez Tapia from Chile, to give a presentation to the police on how to understand this protest movement and the national strike. So here you can see Alexis Lopez Tapia standing in front of a swastika. He is a straight up neo-fascist, totally discredited, but the Colombians, Duque brought him in to advise the government. So his theory was that anyone who dissents from the politics of the Colombian state is part of an international communist conspiracy that is decades in the making and may not even know it. It was taken very seriously by the government and put into practice when the police and military killed 80 protesters, according to the Colombian NGO Indipaz. One of the better known cases was a protester named Lucas Villa, who was murdered in May 2021 by plainclothes gunmen while he was protesting. He became kind of one of the symbols of that period. It gets worse, Clayton. If all of that scandal wasn't enough, this guy first oversaw the theft of 70 billion Colombian pesos, which is almost $17 million, that was contracted for rolling out internet access in rural areas. Well, that got pocketed into a tax haven into the United States. Then he did everything possible to try to destroy the historic 2016 peace accord that his predecessor, the President Juan Manuel Santos, signed between the government and the FARC. So this was going to end 52 years of armed conflict between the government and the FARC that had killed hundreds of thousands and displaced millions. So instead, Duque's Attorney General, along with the DEA of the US, ran an entrapment campaign against the FARC negotiators and then it actually failed because it was so poorly done. So those former FARC guerrillas turned negotiators decided, wow, this is a total trap. They want to kill us, imprison us. So they decided we're going to return to arms, and they founded a new FARC iteration called the Second Marquetalia, which exists to this day. Then another reason, a big reason this failed, the peace accord, is because Duque's administration stole $500 million that was meant for implementation of the Accord. So all of these projects to take the former FARC combatants and integrate them into the economy, develop the rural areas. So instead of growing coca for cocaine, they would grow coffee and mangoes and produce to get to national and international markets. Well, that money to develop those projects was robbed by Duque and his people. So again, he is a major reason that Colombia is in basically a perpetual bloodbath. So instead of facing justice, now he's a fellow at the Wilson Center think tank here in D.C., funded by the arms industries and all kinds of energy corporations. I mean, basically, I just wanted to channel the pure disdain that I saw that Colombians have against this guy, Ivan Duque, the former president.
It's amazing. Yeah, you can live in Washington, D.C., pocket off of the money that you've used as a tax shelter that you've pocketed from the Colombian people, going out to fancy restaurants and whining and dining on an afternoon near Capitol Hill. Like, these are the people. You want to talk about the swamp? These are the people that live in the swamp. This is it's unbelievable. And I know we have a number of reports on Colombia, Dan, that redacted along. Dan went to Colombia. We're going to be publishing these reports very soon, a deep dive on Colombia. And so you wanted to say a few words in Spanish to our Colombian viewers who might not understand English. Is that right?
Yeah, I just want to share a message for our Colombian viewers who, may not be part of our typical audience. Así en español, un mensaje para el pueblo colombiano. Recientemente yo volví de Colombia. Mantengan un ojo acá en este canal, se llama en inglés Redacted, para ver nuestros reportajes sobre lo que está pasando en Colombia. Gracias a ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Headed to Medellin, Colombia? See my guy Andres with Nomad Travel for safe airport pickups and drop-offs and tours. Contact information in the description below. If you're in Medellin and you need dental work done, from a basic cleaning to major reconstructive surgery, come see my guy, Dr. Carlos Maury. Contact information in the description below.